What if the worries that have shadowed your days, those nagging fears you've carried like a worn-out coat, simply dissolved into the wind after 72? Imagine standing on the edge of a quiet autumn evening, the air crisp with the scent of fallen leaves, and realizing that the weight you've lugged for decades doesn't fit anymore. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally glimpsed what truly matters. As the years stack up, our hearts shift, not out of exhaustion, but from a gentle, hard-earned clarity. It's a wisdom that doesn't shout from textbooks or echo in well-meaning advice. It whispers through the creak of a porch swing, the warmth of a familiar hand, the stillness of a life fully lived. Today, we're diving into 7 things that lose their grip after 72. Not lofty theories, but truths carved from experience, backed by the quiet nods of those who've walked this road before us. If you've ever felt the strain of chasing shadows that no longer light your path, this is for you. These 7 burdens once pressed hard on your shoulders, but now they're free to drift away. Not because you're too old to care, but because you've earned the right to let them go. And that's not apathy, my friend. That's freedom. It's knowing what's worth your time, your energy, your peace. So, pull up a chair, settle in, and let's explore these insights together. They might just lighten your load and leave you smiling at what's still ahead. Number 1. The weight of others' opinions. Picture yourself at 30, standing in front of a cracked mirror, tugging at a shirt you bought because someone said it was in. Or maybe at 45, steering into a job you didn't love, just to dodge the raised eyebrows at family dinners. Other people's opinions used to feel like a compass, pointing you north when you weren't even sure where you wanted to go. They shaped how you dressed, how you spoke, even how you raised your kids back when they were 20 and testing every boundary. But after 72, that compass starts to rust. You wake up one morning and realize those judgments, whispered by neighbors or barked by relatives, aren't your truth. They're just noise, fleeting as a breeze through an open window, often born from someone else's doubts, not yours. Take Eleanor, now 76. She used to prune her garden to perfection, not because she loved straight edges, but because she feared the tisk-tisks from across the fence. She'd hide her paint-splattered smock, worried her late-blooming art hobby would draw snickers from her polished sister-in-law. Then one crisp October day, she caught herself mid-worry and laughed out loud. "Who cares?" she muttered, clipping a rose just because it smelled sweet to her. Now, her garden spills over with wildflowers, her walls glow with messy, joyful canvases, and she wears a bright red scarf that clashes wonderfully with everything. Eleanor's not rude or aloof. She's just done auditioning for a role she never wanted. She smiles more these days, her laugh lines deeper than they were at 54. Letting go of that need for approval doesn't mean you stop listening. It means as you tune into your own voice first. You've lived long enough to know that people will judge no matter what. Whether you wear sneakers or heels, paint your house blue or leave it weathered gray. And those opinions, they vanish as fast as yesterday's weather. What lingers is how you feel when the day ends, whether your choices brought you calm or just more clutter. After 72, you pick whose voices get a seat at your table, the ones who love you, who see you, not the strangers peering over the fence. There's a strength in that, a quiet power that blooms when you stop scanning the room for nods. It's not arrogance, it's trust in the life you've built, step by step, over decades. Once you feel it, you'll wonder why you ever let anyone else hold the reins. Number 2, chasing the latest craze. Ever feel that tug? The one that says, "You've got to keep up"? It's there in the glossy ads, the chatter at the coffee shop, the unspoken rule that you should know the newest app or sport the latest cut. Trends are relentless, a carousel spinning faster every year, promising you'll be left behind if you don't grab the brass ring. For years, it might have mattered. Those tight jeans at 40, the sleek phone at 55, the diet everyone swore by at 62. But after 72, that tug loosens. You start to see trends for what they are, shiny bubbles that pop and fade, leaving little behind but a faint hiss. Harold, 80, knows this well. Back in the day, he'd swap out his wardrobe the minute styles shifted, flares to skinny, khaki to black, whatever the crowd wore. He'd upgrade his gadgets too, even when the old ones worked fine, just to flash something shiny. Then one winter, he slipped into a pair of soft corduroys, unfashionable sure, but they hugged his frame like an old friend. He ditched the e-reader for a dog-eared novel, savoring the rustle of pages and the faint scent of ink. This is me, he thought, and the peace that followed outshone any tech buzz. Now, he chuckles at the ads, content with his worn slippers and the jazz records he's loved since '68. Trends thrive on urgency, whispering that you're missing out. But after 72, you've watched enough fads circle back. Bell-bottoms to low-rise, vinyl to streaming, to know they're just echoes, not anchors. You don't need to chase them anymore. If a sweater feels cozy, you wear it. If a tool saves time, you use it. But you're not here to perform for the carousel. You're here to live at your own pace. There's a dignity in that, a rootedness that says, I know what I like, and that's enough. You've won the real prize, a life that fits you, not the fleeting whims of the world. So crank the tunes that lift your spirit. Sip tea from the chipped mug you've kept for years, because true style isn't borrowed. It's yours, unapologetically. Number 3, lingering on yesterday's shadows. We've all got those moments, the ones that replay like a scratchy record. A job you didn't take at 38, a sharp word you flung at 50, a chance you let slip through your fingers. Regret sneaks in, soft as fog, curling around your thoughts until it feels like part of you. It's heavy, that ache for a do-over. But after 72, something shifts. You sit on your porch one evening, the sky streaked with gold, and those old stumbles don't sting like they used to. They're not failures, they're the rough strokes that painted who you are. Walter, 83, carried one such shadow for years. At 42, he said no to a big city job, choosing the small house where his kids grew up over a fatter paycheck. For decades, he'd wonder, did I play it too safe? But now, rocking on that same porch, watching his grandkids chase fireflies across the yard, he sees it differently. That choice rooted him, gave him Saturday mornings with pancakes, late nights with scraped knees, a life woven tight with love. What he once mourned as a miss now glows like a gift. He smiles, tracing the worn armrest, and thinks, I wouldn't change a thing. After 72, regret softens when you meet it with kindness. That younger you, she was juggling what she knew, balancing dreams and fears with the tools she had. You wouldn't chide a kid for tripping over their first steps. Why punish yourself for the steps you took then? There's a release in whispering, I did my best, and I'm still standing. The past isn't a chain, it's a teacher. Those scars and lessons light your way now, not drag you back. Every sunrise is a fresh page, and instead of rewriting what was, you start dreaming of what could be. That's the magic of time. It doesn't erase the hurt, it reframes it, turning burdens into beacons. You're not stuck. You're moving forward, wiser and lighter. Number 4. Measuring yourself against the crowd. Comparison sneaks up early. Better grades at 16, a flashier car at 35, a grander life at 60. It's a game we all play, sizing up our story against someone else's highlight reel. You'd peek at a friend's sprawling house or a cousin's perfect kids and wonder, where'd I fall short? But after 72, that game loses its shine. You realize every path twists differently, some with steep climbs, others with hidden dips, and no two journeys match, not in pace or prize. Lois, 77, felt that sting often. She'd scroll through photos, old pals on cruises, toasting golden anniversaries, cradling grandbabies, and her quiet life seemed dimmer. One spring day, though, she wandered her backyard, the air thick with lilac, and paused. Her knees still carried her, her phone held numbers she could call any time. Her days were hers to shape. She wasn't behind. She was right here, living a story no one else could claim. Now, she tends her herbs, shares tea with a neighbor, and lets others' wins spark a grin, not a grudge. Comparison's a trickster. It steals your peace while you're busy staring sideways. After 72, you've seen enough to know that glossy surface hides its own cracks. That friend with the big house might crave your solitude. That couple with the milestone might envy your freedom. Success isn't a checklist. It's the warmth of a shared laugh, the spark of a good book, the calm of a night well spent. You don't need to match anyone's stride. You just need to walk your own, head high, heart full. Let their victories cheer you on, not pull you down. Your life's not a race, it's a tapestry, and every thread counts. Number 5. Forcing your body to prove itself. Remember when you'd hoist a heavy box at 45, ignoring the twinge in your back just to show you still could, or push through a sleepless night at 58, pretending the ache didn't matter. We've all treated our bodies like machines, running them hard to prove something, to ourselves, to the world. But after 72, a softer truth settles in. You hear your knees creak, feel the pull of a long day, and instead of fighting it, you nod. Slowing down isn't losing. It's loving the body that's carried you this far. Charles, 82, used to tackle his lawn like a mission. Every June, he'd sweat through the heat, mower roaring, telling himself it kept him young. Then one sweltering afternoon, the world spun, and he landed in a doctor's chair. Listen, his body seemed to say, and he did. Now, a local kid mows while Charles sits under the oak, iced tea in hand, swapping stories about the old ball games. He's not weaker, he's wiser. The yard's still green, and he's still part of it, just gentler. After 72, your worth isn't tied to how much you lift or how fast you run. You've built homes, chased dreams, held the ones you love. Your body's done its share. Now, it asks for care, not conquest. You stretch slow in the morning sun, nap when the afternoon hums, ask for a hand with the groceries, and there's no shame in it. Rest is strength, a gift you give yourself. It's not about doing less. It's about doing what counts, with a body that's earned its ease. You've proven plenty. Now, you get to live, not just endure. Number 6. Clinging to old wounds. The grudges are stubborn things. They sit heavy like a stone in your pocket, rubbing raw spots you try to ignore. At 40, you might have held one tight, thinking it shielded you, anger as armor against more hurt. But after 72, that stone starts to feel pointless. You look back and see how much it's cost. Sleepless nights, clipped words, a heart half closed. And one day, you decide it's not worth the wait anymore. Phyllis, 81, knows this shift. She and her sister fell out at 52 over something fuzzy now. A money spat, a slight, who knows? For years, they danced around it at reunions, all stiff smiles and silence. Then a scare with her health jolted her awake. Life's too short, she thought, and dialed the number. They didn't rehash the fight, just talked about grandkids' antics, the roses blooming, the old songs they'd sung as girls. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The stone rolled away, and Phyllis breathed easier, her kitchen brighter for it. Letting go doesn't mean the hurt was fine. It means you're done paying for it. Forgiveness isn't always a grand reunion. Sometimes it's just a quiet, "I'm free now." You see people's flaws clearer at 72, their pain, their mess, and it softens you. Not for them, but for you. That old anger, it's a thief, stealing space where laughter could grow. Drop it, and you'll feel the lift. Room for hope, for stories, for love. You've got better things to hold. A warm mug, a good memory, a hand that's still here. Life's too rich to waste on yesterday's thorns. Number 7, racing someone else's clock. Life hands you a timeline from the start. Degree by 24, family by 32, retirement at 67. Miss a mark, and it's easy to feel late, like you're scrambling to catch up. At 50, you might have glanced at peers and wondered why your script didn't match. But after 72, that clock starts to tick softer. You realize those deadlines were never yours. They were borrowed, scribbled by someone else's hand. And the real joy? It's in the moments you choose, not the ones you're chased into. Henry, 84, felt that freedom late. He'd always wanted to play piano, but work, kids, life kept the keys out of reach. At 83, he thought, too old now, but a friend's nudge changed his mind. Now, he sits at a second-hand upright, fingers fumbling but steady, coaxing out Moonlight Sonata with a grin. It's not Carnegie Hall, it's better. It's his. Every note's a small rebellion against too late, a melody that says time bends for what matters. After 72, you see it. Love, growth, dreams, they don't expire. You might paint at 75, reconcile at 80, plant a tree at 85. The when doesn't matter, the why does. Ditching the race doesn't mean you stop. It means you start where you stand. If a wish still tugs, it's not too late. It's right on time. Your story's not bound by chapters someone else wrote. It's yours to fill, at your pace, with your heart. No rush, no lag, just you, unfolding beautifully. Number 8, fearing the quiet ahead. Here's a new thread to weave in. The dread of what's next. Younger years buzz with plans, careers to climb, kids to raise, trips to take. But after 72, the calendar thins, and sometimes a whisper creeps in. Is this all there is? It's not loud, but it's there, a shadow on the horizon. Yet with time, that fear fades. You find the quiet isn't empty. It's alive, brimming with chances to savor what you've built and explore what's still calling. Take Margaret, 79. After her husband passed at 75, she feared the silence. Nights stretching long, days echoing with absence. She'd always been the planner, filling their life with chatter and motion. But one rainy afternoon, she sat by the window, a cup of chamomile steaming, and listened. The patter of drops, the hum of her own breath. It wasn't lonely, it was hers. She started small, a journal to catch her thoughts, a bird feeder to watch the finches dance. Now she relishes the stillness, finding stories in the clouds, peace in the rhythm of her days. The quiet didn't swallow her, it held her. After 72, the unknown stops feeling like a void. It's a canvas, soft and wide, where you paint with memory and curiosity. You don't need a packed schedule to prove you're here. Being here is enough. The quiet lets you hear yourself again. The dreams you shelved, the laughter you forgot, the gratitude that blooms unhurried. It's not an end, it's a beginning, gentler but no less bright. You've faced louder storms. This stillness is your reward, a space to rest, reflect, and rediscover. Fear fades when you step into it, finding not shadows, but light you'd missed all along. Final thoughts, a lighter road ahead. So here we are, friend, at the end of this winding path. We've unpacked 7 things, 8 now, that lose their hold after 72. Which one hit home? Maybe you've already shrugged off a few, or maybe you're just now seeing how much you've carried that you don't need. Either way, this isn't a finish line, it's a fresh start. Life after 72 isn't a dimming flame, it's a lantern glowing brighter, lit by all you've learned. You're not winding down, you're waking up, tuning out the clamor to hear your own song. Letting go isn't indifference, it's intention. It's choosing the laugh over the frown, the moment over the rush, the love over the grudge. You've walked through fire and rain to get here. Every step shaping this clarity. Those old weights, they've cleared the way for what's real. The hug that lingers, the sunrise that stops you cold, the peace that feels like home. So step forward, lighter now. You don't need to chase or cling, just be fully here, fully you. The best is still unfolding, and you've got all you need to meet it.